Toolvine Mentors and Leaders Initiative. Join me this evening as we make welcome our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Folajomi Adegbulugbe.
Thank you so much, the moderator, mentor Olamide Oladepo. Really appreciate the citation being read and really
Thank
appreciate
you,
the time
sir.
that I'm having here. Thank you again to senior mentor, or as I heard, Dr. Dr. Michael Alade. Thank you once again for sort of the introduction and chaperoning me in to this conversation. And I want to thank
Pleasure.
Adewale who reached out to me and through our emails, she made sure I was here. Uh, Judiciously inviting me. I'm honored to be here,
Thank you.
especially after growing up in Obafemi Awolowo University and being part of campus, as a campus youth, being part of this thing. It's a privilege and it's an honor to have a conversation with young minds, have a conversation with people who are trying to sort of build something and do something great. Uh, Again, I don't take it lightly. And again, I thank God for the opportunity to I've been through sort of some of the academic background that I've been through and sort of the business as well, part I've been through and some of the experiences I've had. And I'm hoping that and as I share today, that words will fall in the right minds and in the right conditions today. Again, without sort of wasting too much time, this is probably going to be shorter than everyone thinks it will be. I'm going to stick to teaching through a few principles and then taking us through sort of some of the experiences that I've had, and hopefully it's as packed as possible and as helpful for everyone here. Um, first of all, I think that talking about wealth is something that as a people and as a group we need to do more often, and talking about it in the right way within the right principles, the God principle of what wealth should be. Of course, there's so many ways of making money, and money is very much different from wealth, as it were. Um, I mean, without sort of like creating any sort of dictionary meanings or trying to build on anything, I strongly believe money is different from wealth, and wealth is more about that um encompassing attributes of not just money but wisdom and how you use it, right? A lot of people have money, but when you use it the wrong way, you don't become wealthy. You don't exude wealth, basically. So today, of course, there's basically three very key attributes that we're going to talk about. Number one is faith, number two is wisdom, and number three is
Action.
action. Action, yeah. Sorry, is action. What I call the foundation that is your faith is the foundation key. Number two, your wisdom is the compass. And if we know what a compass is, it gives direction. As well, I'm assuming everyone knows what a foundation is. It's that platform. It's the base. It's the thing that every other thing stands on. And then action is literally just the engine. Nothing moves without action. Literally nothing moves without action. And the engine is what brings all the different parts together to ensure that they become successful. So I'll move forward and then just walk us through those three things, then move us to three principles or three things that I've learned over the last years in sort of trying to build wealth and in also trying to just live a fulfilling, impactful life. For those who might not know, and I think my citation didn't talk much about it, while I was on campus, while I was in OU, Obafemi Awolowo University, I started Joe's Pizza company, where I made pizza. I thought I wanted to be a chef, wanted to provide food for people, wanted to cook, basically. And that eventually turned into a full business, which I did, selling pizza, selling food, became Joe's Indulge in New Buka, and then became another restaurant at Student Union building called Cream Castle. Both of them might not exist right now just because of, after that I moved on, sold the business and then just done other things. But that's a bit of background of how I started and started during university. Again, don't take it as an advice to, sort of like, oh, mentor Folajomi as well started business while in school. I should start as well. I think my message today is going to be cutting across different groups of people, entrepreneurs, those that want to be entrepreneurs, those that want to work within a structured firm, or those that want to be freelancers who just want to create value in the world that they're in. So let's start with faith. Faith is just like is the foundation. It's who we are. It's believing. I mean, on one side is the faith in God as a whole, faith in the Holy Spirit as a whole, that is able and capable of giving us all the things that we need to move through life. That's one side, and then faith as well. Also on another side is the belief that you are capable of making wealth. Is the belief that you are capable of doing things that will bring wealth towards you. It's also faith in God's provision, in His promises that never fails. Honestly, it's never failed. It's been a driving force, for me all through my life, and especially when I was on campus, especially when I was in OAU, right? Do not take lightly, sort of the time that you spend, during fellowship, in mentorship sessions, praying about the future. I remember, I don't think right after university, I've prayed so much while I was in university, as much as I prayed during university about my future. I prayed consistently, at the, what do you call it, sports building. You keep praying about the future, you pray about business, and those are really, really good foundations to have. Praying about the future, your life, and honestly, I won't take it lightly because those things have sort of shaped who I am today. And I'm glad for that foundation. So if we move forward in terms of like faith, right? Faith in sets the tone for how you're going to make wealth and sets the tone for what's going to happen. I mean, if we take a look at I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. It says, remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth, right? Again, I'm bringing this scripture just to take our gaze towards wealth is not a bad thing to have. The right mindset in terms of like ability to produce wealth comes from God, and having that foundation is really important. So basically, I'm trying to ask questions around what does wealth really mean to you? What does it invoke in your mind when you think about wealth? Because often at times your disposition to these things determine how your mind or how you're going to shape things moving forward. Again, so that I tie it in from the foundation. Again, if we take a look at the building, the foundation is probably the most important part of the building. The next thing is the remaining, they call it the substructures that come on top of it. And I can just use that to veer us from faith, which I think I've tried to sort of give us an overview of what faith looks like in terms of, it's not just, your faith in God, it's also your faith in His word, His promises, and His provision. It's also you believing that you're capable and you have the ability to create wealth, and you understanding that God has actually given you a mandate or has provided you the tools to produce wealth. Now, to tie it in, with wealth, wisdom is so important. You can't just walk into a place and say, hey, give me so and so. And yes, it can happen, miracles do happen, but I know that, you're not supposed to continue to just, oh, I'm going to wait for a miracle. I'm going to wait for a miracle. There are certain things that we need to do as humans to ensure that, we can make full use of our time. So wisdom is the compass. Wisdom gives you direction in terms of what you should do. And then this is particularly important because there's sometimes so much emphasis on people wanting to, oh, let's start something, let's start a business. But there's so many aspects to wealth creation that isn't about starting a business or being entrepreneurial, as it were. there's the section of it which is about, are you creating value for someone in a company? Are you a co-founder who is just good at operating, or who is good at finance, or who is good at engineering, or who is good at architecture? It's about being so good at what you are able to provide, and being so good at what you have, and making sure that it creates value for others, right? Again, the popular structure says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Wisdom directs. Wisdom takes us through different areas, allowing us to apply the knowledge that we have, and that's key. Applying knowledge. That is, you have the knowledge. It is, you read books, you did the different structures of exercises that you needed to do to get done, to be able to apply that knowledge, to be able to discern, not as a spiritual gift, but just having passed through things, or using faith to discern a season, to discern a phase, to discern a time, and your ability to make strategic decisions, right? Again, with wisdom and how it applies is, and again, I'll try to bring all these things together into practical, more direct step of how I've used it in my life, or how these things have shaped me. But just in terms of just how practical wisdom can be, it can be about understanding trends, right? What's happening at the moment. It's like if someone came out today and said, you know what, cassette is going to be, and I hope everyone here knows what a cassette is. Cassette is going to be the next big thing, right? You are acting out of, I wouldn't say, it might be sort of like out of lack of wisdom, right? Or so it would seem, because we've gone through a phase where cassette used to be a thing, or floppy disks, as it were. They're no more the thing now. We've even gone through a point where compact discs were a thing, and DVDs were a big thing. Now we've gotten to the era of streaming and having things on a cloud system. So it will be somewhat from a lack of understanding trend for someone to come and say, this is what I'm going to use to sort of generate wealth. And again, I'm not walking through anything in specifics, because that can be something. I'm just giving us an example. Another thing that wisdom can be really powerful with is planning, saving, and investing rightly. How are you planning towards using the resources that you have? Again, resources that you currently have. How are you planning with using the resources that you have? So number one, don't forget, I've said, wisdom is application of knowledge. You need to have knowledge, studying, having conversations. Number two, now it's, how are you planning, saving, and investing? And and that's really key as well. Planning is, how are you putting things in the right place, or how are you making use of the right resources to ensure that they can generate the wealth that you need? And that looks like using your academic background, using, sort of the skills that you have been given, because each one of us have a skill, and to then, sort of move forward and generate the wealth. The last one about wisdom that I think is also really important, and we're already using here, is how we are potentially seeking counsel and mentorship, right? And I don't take, sort of communities like this very lightly in terms of like what Toolvine mentorship is doing. Bringing young people together, having these conversations, having meetings together, they are really, really key. And I think that's also sort of like, principle I'm trying to adopt as well in some of my other ventures in Akure, is how can we get young people coming together and having conversations and building some. How can we have like-minded people, who have conversations, who can drive things forward? Really key. And these mentorship sessions, I don't think anyone here who is listening to me should be taking them lightly. They should be joyed that they are part of this, and they should be joyed that they're able to be in such a beautiful community. Lastly, I'll move into sort of action, which I've said is the engine, right? Again, action has so many parts to it, and it's how you combine your faith, your wisdom, and your own part of it, which is you getting forward and getting things done, right? again, there's no way about it. I'm going to mention, James chapter 2, verse 17 that says, faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. Faith without works is dead. Very popular scriptures, and we all know that, right? I'm just going to use it as well, right? That faith without works is dead, and faith and wisdom without execution remains in itself futile, just an idea. And so many people have ideas. But what differentiates the best people from the not so great people is their ability to execute and to execute in the right way. So without, sort of taking away the foundation, without taking away your compass, being able to continue to do the right thing. And the thing about an engine is how continuously it does the same thing repetitively to generate so much power for either a motor to move, a car to move, or something to get done. And that's really, very key. There's the continuousness of what we are doing, continuousness of your action that lets you get better and that lets you generate power. One of my own popular, very, saying in and around action is take a step, start small, right? And if at all anything, the parable of talents gives us that idea that it doesn't matter whether you have 5 or you have 10 or you have 20 or you have 1 or you have 2. It's about what do you do with what you have? How do you sort of make use of what has been given to you? In that same sense is whether it's small or big, just start, do something with it. That's going to be very important. Like I did mention in the conversation about the engine, is stay consistent, keep doing what you're doing, keep hitting at it, and that will be very, 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 very helpful for you. The other part of it, that I already mentioned in terms of community is keep talking with people, keep using the mentors that you have, keep rethinking your ideas, and then see where it takes you. Right now, I'll just go through a bit of, sort of how this has applied in my life. Again, a lot of times things come from an hindsight point of view. So I'm going to go back in time to when I started Joe's Pizza and sort of that journey and how each of these principles had helped me to run that business successfully for over 5 years while I was a student. So when I wanted to start, when I got to Obafemi University, in a point I had an accident that did allow me or did make sure that I took a leave of absence. And so in that time I did gather a lot of knowledge, reading a lot of books, just trying to expand scope of my thinking. And it was in that time, that I found a place where I thought that there was a problem right within my ecosystem, within Obafemi at the time. There weren't any special meals as it were, burgers, shawarma, pizza. It was just lacking in general. So I thought to myself, how can I potentially solve this problem? How can I potentially get pizza on campus? It doesn't make sense to have to travel far and wide to get pizza. In fact, I think I'm almost in the whole of Ife at the time. There wasn't pizza. Maybe burger that you could get from Mr. Biggs at that time was the only place I could think of that you could get burger, and it wasn't even consistent, right? So I thought I could solve the problem. I thought that, I could go ahead and solve the problem. And of course, what did I do? I started planning. One of the things I did was try to sort of draw out what are the things that I need, what are the resources that I have, what are the things that I potentially need. And I read, extensively about food. And I think that was probably, before that I'd been cooking, but that was probably one of the very first times that I was doing something outside of the norm. So it was something I really needed to get done. Now, 2 principles I've used here. Part of it is wisdom, where I've tried to apply knowledge that I have. The other part of it is faith, is believing that I have the resources and I have the right things to get something done, right? Things don't get done when you don't have faith. And that's what I did in there. I had faith. And the other side of it, I did pray. And I did, because I thought I was going through something that was going to be difficult. I thought I was going to start something I probably knew was going to strain me a bit, and I prayed a lot. And so even when things seemed to be not going according to my plan or according to a design that I thought was the right one for me, there was just the backing from my mind that I could do it. I could solve this problem and I could solve that, I could, engineer something around that. And what did I do? Right? I actually started. I actually didn't just sit down and say, now I have a plan, and I'm going to go here and there and say, I'm trying to raise money. I started what I had. It didn't matter to me that it wasn't good enough. I started. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and start something. And it wasn't the best pizza, it wasn't the sweetest pizza, but it was something that people could appreciate at the time. I used my brothers and his friends as sort of experiments, and they ate it and they felt that there were things I could do better. And what did I do? I listened to them and tried to sort of walk around that over and over and over again. Right? So again, that's a very classic example of, and this is when I was a student, of taking faith, believe in God and in his word that I wouldn't fail, right? Using, sort of wisdom that I had gotten through knowledge, through the word of God as well, in terms of how I should do certain things and how, sort of certain things should happen. And then more importantly, just taking action. And I can talk about so many other ventures that I've been in over and over again, and same principles. In the gas business that I currently run, same thing. It's sometimes just about what does the word say, in terms of what you should do and how you should treat certain things. And then lastly, it's also about the incubator that I'm currently running, which is the Hive Incubator in Akure, which is, I've, get in terms of impact and also giving back to the youth. It's about how can I solve a problem in terms of, providing funding for young people? How can you solve a problem in terms of mentorship and also sort of giving, business knowledge to people? And, also how can you create an ecosystem that is thriving? And I truly, truly believe that entrepreneurship and technology has the pathway to changing sort of our country and changing, the nation as well. But I digress a little bit on that. And I think lastly, I just have 3 principles that I'm going to share real quick before we then move into the question and answer. Number 1 is cherish the community that you're with. People of like mind, being in these communities is always going to be important to you. And in the future, you wouldn't, when you look back, you then remember how powerful it was that a group of you or a group of, us used to sit down together and listen to these words. You don't know how it's going to help you in your work life, in your freelancing, in whatever the case might be, content creation, I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do. The second thing is going to be wealth doesn't come through entrepreneurship alone, right? Wealth doesn't come through entrepreneurship alone. I think some of I work with amazing people and I work with a lot of people and I've had so many people over time. But the most amazing people use these 3 things: faith, wisdom, and action. They believe that their idea is great. They talk about it. They're not scared. They're not shy. They take action about whatever they feel is their idea, and they apply wisdom. They're not scared when they are wrong, but they are able to apply wisdom in the right set of things. And that's going to be really important for those who don't necessarily want to do business, but who want to be great at work. You need to read through what problems exist and need to take action and believe that you can solve them. And you need to take those practical, simple, consistent steps to getting them solved. Number 3, exactly what I've said: faith, wisdom, everything put together, not put into an action. Whether you're writing a book, whether you're creating content about it, whatever the case might be, not if there's no output from those things, your input is almost dead, right? And the last thing is time will always tell. Be patient, right? When I was going through business and going through all these things, I did go through a time where I felt that I did go through a time where I felt like, things weren't moving as fast enough for me. I wanted things to move in a different way. But honestly, what just kept me going is most of the, patience. It's most of the fruit of the spirit, patience, long suffering, and just being through those things and understanding those things really did help me. And I just want to say to anyone who thinks like, oh, this is not going as fast as it should for me. This is not this. This is not that. The honest truth is, just be patient, right? Time will tell. Time is the best way to get things, moving in the right direction. Lastly, right, just ask God for courage to give you faith to help you to surmount whatever challenges. Ask him for discernment, which is wisdom, and actually the wisdom itself. And the last thing is just stay disciplined, stay the course, be consistent, take action. And I think just with those few points and the principles and just the guiding of faith, wisdom, and action, I hope I've been able to just share a few words that has helped someone here today. Thank you so much.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Folajomi Adegbulugbe. Please. Oh my God. I
You're
hope I'm
doing
pronouncing the name correctly.
yeah, you are pretty
All
well.
right. Thank you so much. That's quite an enlightening session. A very, I would say this is record time. Thank you so much also for
It's time.
trying to stay very strict with the time. It's a lot of stuff jumped up in a very short time. Thank you so much. I would say I've been a lot impacted, and I believe that's the same for every other one on this call tonight. Please kindly put up your questions, your comments in the chat box. We'll be willing to take them. I'm sure our esteemed guest speaker is very much willing to take them. While we await those, let me start from my call. I don't know if the lead mentor has something he wants to say, but before he does that, let me take it from my side. I like the fact that this comes in a very, very sizable nugget. Like I could just take one and run with it. And we have three key elements that I have taken time to talk about this evening: faith, wisdom, and action. I like the way you did the analogy. The foundation is faith, wisdom is the compass, and action is the engine. Very good. Thank you so much, sir. And I also like the way you ended. You you encouraged us to be consistent, to stay disciplined, and take action. Thank you so much. Now, mine is a question. Mine is a question. I've seen from my own study, from what I've seen in the lives of other people, people that are sincere about their drive for success. They are they are good Christians. They have faith in God, faith in their own abilities that they can make things work, and they appear to have wisdom too. They have knowledge and they know how to apply it. And one thing that at times may be lacking is action. Action, maybe because they don't believe that they have what it takes to go out and make all of this knowledge and all of this wisdom and all of that that they have and make it work and make a success in whatever chosen field or whatever area of life that they are set out on. And it gets me thinking, are there other things? Well, I'm trying not to talk about village people factor here. Permit me to say that. I know that there are several roles that some of these things also play in how well people turn out to be in the things that they have set out to do and all of that. So I would like to ask at this point, for an individual, permit me to say, for instance, maybe academics, you have given us your own story, and that was quite inspiring to me. It was supposed to be a time of adversity, and you at that time looked at what you had in yourself. You believed in God, believed in yourself, you believed you had the right knowledge, and you were willing to put it to work, and you stepped out in faith with action, and it was just beautiful. You had all the factors, and you went out, and they all worked out. But there are individuals that appear to have all of these too, and for one reason or the other, it just appears like it's not gelling, it's not coming true for them. For this kind of people, what would you advise? Thank you. I think we have one or two questions in chat box, but I think we
Most
could
definitely.
have a response first. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. So very awesome question. And again, in this kind of conversations, it's easy for people to talk about, oh, I did this, I did that, I combined this, I combined that, and it worked, and we move forward. There's so many things that happen in between. There's a process. And that's why I said one of the key principles, and I sort of just tried to bring it in. And I know I did mention a lot of things, but I said time will tell, patience, and I kind of mentioned long
Mm,
suffering as well, which is when certain things aren't going your way, persevering through, being resilient, trying again, forcing your way through. It is always going to be key and always going to be important, right? So honestly, I've been through that as well, where And I think I didn't mention this because I wanted us to be as short as possible, because I can say stories for days of, going through business or even through academics as well, right? And just being in an open and honest conversation while I was in OAU, I don't think I did the best I could have done academically. And that was basically based off on business, right? And I can use some of sort of the things just not working the way I thought it should. I would read, and I knew within myself that I wasn't the dullest student or anything. I was good, and I got distinctions in my other universities when I left the country. I would read, and it just won't work the way it should, or certain things will happen. But there's just something about someone who wants to graduate as well. Even when you fail, you get another chance. You get to rewrite the exam, or when you when a course doesn't go your way, you read, you try your best. And I think that's where it's always going to be, being resilience, right? Um, Again, God will not give you something that is more than you are able to pass through, right? It doesn't matter what you're passing through right now. There's going to be it's a phase, it's a season. Like, there's so many ways I can say it, so many things I can share. But honestly, it's in the word of God, and it's as true as it was yesterday and as true as it will be tomorrow. Is that you will
Mm.
go through seasons in life. There will be the season where things won't be that good, and there will be seasons where it will be excellent. And even in the seasons where it won't be good, it's what's your disposition towards what is happening. Do you have the faith in God that He will see you through and pass you through, and you will come out on the good side? It will always, always, always be key, right? One key example, and I'll just quickly share a story. When I started Joe's Pizza, I did something called Joe's Buffet. Joe's Buffet used to be an event I would have on campus in Pit Theater. Um, with the Joe's Buffet, I'll do an event and call everyone together. Oh, come in and everything, and then people will eat and stuff like that. And then there was a fee to it, and people had to pay. I think at the time it was at around 1,500 naira to just be able to come into an event and eat anything they wanted to eat. The first one, right, there was probably at minimum about 100 or 120 people. It seemed like it was the best event. Everyone had so much fun. At the end of the day, it was a loss for me, monetary wise, business wise. It was a loss. It hurts me so bad because I could see so many people so happy and so many people so enjoying themselves and stuff like that. It just didn't work out. Second one as well, same thing. It was a loss, like literally, like same thing. A lot of people coming in, but the money just didn't match the amount of money I spent to ensure that it was a great event. But you know what happened after that? Just because I did the first one and people saw how many people came and how much they liked it, and because I did the second one and people saw how much people were there and they liked it, that opened up a new business for me and a new opportunity for me. End of the year event started calling me. Hey, Agric faculty, we're doing end of the year dinner. We want just buffet style, so many meals and everything. And that eventually became probably one of the businesses that generated me the most money in the next couple of 2 or 3 years when I did catering. Cook rice, carry there, serve people, stay up all night because people will come, they'll start their events late. But again, it was the resilience of not looking at that failure, potentially doing it again. It might have looked stupid because, again, when I told anyone that I made a loss, in fact, I can remember very clearly, I said I was never going to do anything before again, that this is the last one I was going to ever do. And then just right after that, this opportunity started coming because it was at the second semester when everyone was doing dinners, and it just became a genius masterstroke. Like, oh wow, that simile thing that everyone thought was a failure became a huge thing in the future. Again, I don't know how to share more than there's seasons for everything. Be patient, time will tell. There's no rush to making money. There's no rush to doing, you must make money by force. You must do it. There's no rush to it. Your time is going to come, and God gives it to every single person. You're going to get that time. It's going to be yours. And then, I pray that you're going to have the right resources around you to then execute on those things at the time. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. One thing that keeps recurring in what you have been saying is the importance of resilience and seeing the good in whatever, in quotes, the bad that comes. That has recurred to me twice today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we have one or two questions in our chat box.
Okay.
Okay, this one from. Okay, this is Mentor Dele Oladiran is asking. He said, "Thank you, Mentor Folajomi. And the question is, for young professionals in their early 20s, what do you think is the smarter first move toward wealth creation? Building your own venture early or gaining experience in established organizations before launching out? As for launching your own venture, I've been looking at it from the perspective of gaining experience from various things, just like you have done. when you start a business in school and then something clicks? Okay, so I think that's his question.
Okay. So, very beautiful question. A tough one to answer. Whether you start a business or a venture or you just get to work or working somewhere. Very difficult. Again, the best way I will answer it is know what value you provide, right? If you're very clear about the value that you provide, very, very clear about the value that you provide, or the problem you're trying to solve, that should take you in the right direction. If you see a problem and you're trying to solve it and you think no one else is solving it, that potentially can lead you towards business. If you have a particular skill, for example, you're very good at doing Excel or you're very good at just numbers or finance and things like that, that's tending towards, oh yeah, you might eventually be able to, work at a certain place and provide that value. I honestly, on 100%, it would depend on faith. What foundations have you built, or what foundations, or what has been put in your heart? And then it would come on the other side of the wisdom part of it is what knowledge are you consuming? If you're consuming, because again, I don't think entrepreneurs are born. I don't think people who do well in business where they have one talent somewhere that is hidden or anything. I think it's from consistently, chipping away, learning, taking in knowledge, being better. And I'm very sure our senior mentor, doctor, will say that, I mean, he didn't get a doctorate by sitting down somewhere and saying, I have talent of academia. He wrote papers, he had to submit them, he had to correct when there were errors from his own mentors or his own senior lecturer or his own professors at the time. There are systems to every single thing, and it's this, the principles are the knowledge, the being consistent, the continuing to doing certain things in a certain way over a longer period of time compounds together to give you a strong effect. So whatever you choose, honestly, my own key would be this: in whatever you choose to do, just do it well and stay consistent and stay patient and just keep taking at it. The best people keep doing the same thing for years and years and years. There's no one that is great now that didn't I mean, you see something great now, you don't see the things that they've done at the foundation base, how much time they spent, sort of dialoguing with God about those ideas, how much time they spent, sort of, reading or taking up knowledge. And that's just going to be my little bit of my message. I think you get directed from your heart, right? I don't think anyone should say that they cannot be in business, whether it is a one-man business, that is, they use their skills as a consultant or as a thought leader. And I don't think anyone should say, oh, I don't have the skill for working. But again, from my own perspective and from my own distance, I think everyone should go through some sort of structured work in their life, which gives them some better perspective to solving problems. I eventually did work in some sort of structured work as well for just a very short period of time before then continue business as well. But the lessons I've learned in the structured workplaces have always helped me in whatever venture I've built. I'm building organizations and organizational structure. So I don't see any reason why you shouldn't start with working if an opportunity comes for you. And I don't see a reason why, if you find yourself in a place where you can solve a problem and you think that no one else is doing it, that it is, you cannot go to them and say, oh, this problem that you're trying to solve, maybe you can solve it better this way. Go ahead, go for it. Start to chip at it, start learning more about it, and then go for it and then get something done. I'm sure. And even if you don't do well, don't suck it up. Don't feel like, it's the end of the world, I failed at this. No, you didn't fail at it. You learned something valuable, then go back again and try again. And you come out good at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Whatever you choose to do it well, do it consistently, and stay patient. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. We still have questions from the chat box.
Okay.
This from Mentor Maria said, good evening. Thank you. Okay, she's saying thank you to our esteemed guest speaker. Says, sir, please give us what you mean by consistency. When will you say 100% consistency? Okay. Thank you.
Sorry,
That's the question.
The question is what?
Okay, it says, sir, please give us what you mean by consistency. And when will you say this is 100% consistency?
Okay. So what I mean by consistency, I don't think there's ever going to be 100% consistency, because there's always going to be something you need to keep doing all your life till you get to your desired goal, right?
Yeah.
What I mean by staying consistent is choosing the right is it, I won't say attitude, but choosing the right characteristics or the right set of things within yourselves that you need to work on and continue to work at it, right? Continuing, that is, just continue to do it. When you are failing, learn from it, but continue. So if you choose that, you decide and say, you know what, I want to work in so firm, and I want to be a product manager, I want to be a program, I want to be an engineer, I want to be whatever it is. Staying consistent to achieving being potentially the best at it, so that you can create value or make wealth in that regard. Because we're talking about wealth now, is you continue to learn. You don't stop at. So, for example, now, again, it's easy to say when you're not in university. When we're in university, then and then you have textbooks and then you have further readings. We often throw away the further readings. Staying consistent looks like you saying, because I want to be so good at this, I'm going to go into that further reading. I'm going to read some more. Staying consistent is the materials that you get from your lectures or whatever, because you keep doing it. Staying consistent is repetitive work. It's not easy, because what I found is people often leave when it seems difficult, and it's when it gets difficult and you are able to surmount it that it becomes easier in one side and you generate the most value. So staying consistent, I'm just trying to take us back to a little bit of resilience. Is just keep doing whatever you're doing. And it's so many things. Is how are you continuing to showing up for these meetings as in the mentorship meetings? How are you showing up in church and being part of your networking events that happen? How are you? It's so many different parts, and I don't want to specifically give any examples, but it's doing the right set of things that you've learned over time. In this case now, staying consistent can be you continually continually using the word of God to tell yourself that you have the ability to create wealth, and you're consistent with the fact that you believe that you have the ability to create wealth. That would eventually lead you to creating the wealth. Again, I hope that answers your question, but again, just continue to doing the right set of things over and over again, without, even when it's tough, even when it's difficult, even when it seems like, no, I don't want to, just stay disciplined, stay consistent, basically.
Thank you. I don't know, maybe for every other person, but I think it's clear the message that God is giving us this evening. Stay consistent, keep doing the right thing. Okay, thank you so much. To the next question in our chat box, this is from Ogenebu Iyo. Okay, I'm very certain I pronounced this right, because that took a lot of effort from me. Okay, so this person is asking funding with a question mark. Said, as much as I don't want to make it look very big enough to stop one's goal, it's still a very important factor in setting up businesses. Did you have any challenge with funding, especially in this country, where accessing loans from financial institutions could be a very difficult task? You made mention of how you use friends and family to test the pizza thing. Please briefly just say something about how you went about the funding.
All right. Funding is always resources. Like in economics, economics is the study or something to make use of scarce resources to meet your ends and everything. These resources are scarce. It will forever be scarce, right? But it's not scarce
Yeah.
for the chance of God. But that's by the way. It's not scarce for the chance of God. I'm going through periods of time where I'm looking for funding. I'm always looking for funding. So if you even have funding for me, I'll collect from you anyway. By the But on a very honest note, like I did mention in some part, I said start small. One of the things that I noticed that people often get twisted in is wanting to start so big. You've heard of Mark Zuckerberg, you've heard of Dangote. They're big companies solving big problems, and you feel like that's where I should start from. I need 100 million naira, I need 1 billion naira to solve this problem. I know if you give me this money, I'll do it. I can solve it. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way, right? Unfortunately, people are lucky in some certain worlds. Some people are, trusted much easily and things like that. For me, what I did was whatever resource I had at the time, I was getting a pocket money. I knew I was going to start a business. So maybe I started thinking about business when I had, maybe 6 months or 8 months before I even started anything. I already knew I was going to do this, right? So I started doing tests. Like I would buy flour, sugar, and bread and test out. Sugar and salt to test out to make dough. For cooking. and I'll test it, and that's what I was doing. My pocket money was what I would use. A little bit of suffering here and there, a little bit of, I would drink Gary on nights when I could have bought food or when I could have done something else. I would, my brother, I had a brother, luckily for me. I would ask him once in a while to sort me out and help me with certain things. So I'll beg him as well, like, please, I finished my own pocket money. Can I use yours and all that? And that's why I say community is very important. But that's how I went through a period of trying to test out the product. And once I got to something that seemed okay, once I knew that my brothers and his friends would say, Jomi, when are you making pizza? I started telling them, how much are you willing to pay for it? Are you going to give me 500 naira? They will give me 500. I'll go and buy the ingredients and I'll cook. Until I was able to do my analysis to know what a profit margin would look like for me, I'm planning for their order. Then I started doing the next thing is I started saying, when am I going to start marketing to ensure that other people know that there is pizza in Ife and they will buy, right? And that then kickstarted something for me. I'm not saying all businesses will be this way. Every business has its own peculiarities, and it doesn't matter what it is. There's going to be a small version of what you can do. What can you do now in the smallest version that will look stupid? That your vision is, I want to own a refinery in Nigeria. Does it look like now, and don't do anything illegal or don't do anything stupid, can it look like now, understanding that market so well that you're writing papers on, the market, putting out knowledge on whatever is going on in the industry, to the extent that someone can trust you enough to either work in that industry or manage the business or something else, or whatever the case might be. There's so many aspects to it. A small portion of it can be your starting point. So someone can trust you and say, I believe you based on the skill sets that you have, based on your ability to continue to do this thing over a period of time. I'm going to give you a certain amount of money to start. And from then on, it's what then kickstarts the engine for you to keep moving on forward. You layer on that once you're giving something small and you do well with it, people will give you more. I think that is also sort of shared in the parable of talents, right? That is, if you're giving something small, you do something with it, you're probably going to be giving more. And even if it wasn't directly said, it's implied that for those that did something with the talent, more will be given onto you. I think that's a bit of like how I'll structure it. Funding is going to be continually hard, but how do you take a look at it? And there's so many sources of funding. For example, that's one of the reasons why I started the Hive Incubator. I wanted to be able to give some certain amount of people some certain amount of money to some entrepreneurs who will show up consistently and learn through a certain principle, and then they can then start to replicate and doing well with those things. And that's the way I'll take a look. And these days, there's so many opportunities to apply for stuff. What I've realized now is that people don't like applying for things. Apply, just apply. There's so many, the government will do this one, and sometimes they might not provide the money for you, whatever. But again, you have to stay consistent. You have to stay doing something, right? Even when it fails. So apply for those things when you think, oh, they would, and I know how that mentality that it's the government. They already know people that they will give the money to. Just apply. None of your business whether they know who they give. You apply. If someone sees something that's extremely good, it will be very difficult for them to cheat you away. So just apply. So many of them, international, local, national, whatever it is, just apply for them. That's on that way to sort of get kickstarted. Someone who trusts people blindly, that is, they call them venture capitalists. They give you money early on. That might be very helpful for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of nutrients in that. Start small. Don't wait for a big break. Just keep doing something. You build your profile over time. And all of that. And of course, like you said, there are several opportunities out there. Thank you so much. To the next question. Please, you can still drop your questions or comments in the chat box. I would take the last one here. It says this from Mentor Busayo says, thank you so much for all you shared with us. It says, what practical, biblical, and or professional principles can you share with young Christians to help navigate this society where youth seek wealth through unscrupulous means? That person is shouting, Yahoo, Yahoo, Yahoo. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Without even trying to so much so answer the question, I think in my head when I was preparing for this, the reason why I shared that principle that says time will tell, be patient, was just because of something like this. Is when we're young, we feel that urge that other people are doing certain things. You want to compare yourself with what they're doing, and you want to be in that position. And the message again is very clear. Time is time. Just stick to again, not stick to your lane in a stupid way that you then don't see opportunities and you then don't take opportunities. But be focused. And that's why the foundation is also that's why faith, it starts it. It's faith that starts it. What has God said about wealth? What has God said about the way you will make wealth? Again, for example, there was a time when I was discussing with someone about sort of giving loans as a business. In one of my businesses, I was giving loans. And my friend said something. He said loans are not made to loans were made to empower people, right? The reason why loans were created, even though now you have high interest rates and whatever, but the reason why loans were actually created was because it was supposed to be a tool of empowerment. You give someone money, they are able to do business with it, generate a lot more, give you back your money, and give you an interest, right? Just based off on that, sort of principle of things are meant to be empowered. There's no solution that you have as a human being, right? And let's even forget about whether it's Yahoo or any of those other ones. Anytime you don't create value and you make money, you are probably doing something illegal. Probably doing something illegal. Value follows wealth. Wealth follows value. It's two sides of the coin, right? And what I would just say again is time will tell. Stay consistent. Be patient. Like, there's no rush to going anywhere. In 8 years' time, in 10 years' time, you just look back and say, oh my God, and that time I remember I used to write my notes then, oh, I'll make $1 billion in 2 years. I mean, you're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself to not enjoy life as it was made for young people. Meet with friends, go out, do what you need to do. Don't put yourself on some unseen pressure that now gets you into doing something illegal or doing something that you shouldn't do. Honestly, I think that's the one principle I would say. Time will tell. And of course, I think Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says it very clearly as well. Without, in terms of if you're looking for biblical distances, for everything under the sun, there's a season. Everything under the sun, there's a season. Some people would somehow be ahead at a particular time. Some people will come out later. Your time is going to come and it's going to be based on certain things. How have you positioned yourself in faith? How have you positioned yourself with the wisdom and knowledge? And potentially, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. So keep learning, keep practicing in whatever it is that you've set yourself to do, and the right opportunities will come your way. The right ones will come your way. I'm very sure of it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's been a very, very, very great session. That's the last question that we have in our chat box. And of course, I can see our esteemed lead mentor beaming with smiles. I'm sure there's a lot he wants to talk about. Just before I hand over to him, okay, there's a comment in the chat box. Okay, asking if, of course, we have previous episodes and even this episode, we have them all available, so it's not an issue. All right, esteemed lead mentor.
All right, thank you so much, Mentalabidi. I mean, it sounds funny, Professor Folajomi. I can call you because the way you were speaking, you know someone that has deep understanding of what he's saying. I think it's just too overwhelming for you to say, if I go into one, I will not finish. I would rather just stick to the principles. Then if their question brings out the rest, I'll bring it out. I understand that.
Yes.
And I really want to appreciate all the work, effort, hard work, the consistencies you paid over the years. Let me tell you, I know that you did not do those things for yourself alone. Maybe it's just for a day like this. You don't just know. Maybe it's for someone listening somewhere. It may not even be the person on this platform. It may be someone that will listen to you on the social media and will change the life of that person. I can attest. Let me tell you something. Sorry, I'm saying stories, but I just want to pour my heart to you the way you made me feel tonight. When I was in secondary school, I think I was in SS2 or SS1. A couple of guys came to speak, and they were just talking, I can still remember the suit one of them was wearing. They were not like well made yet, but they had something upstairs. And part of the things they said that day, I can assure you, changed something in my brain, reset something in my brain. And I can still recall some of the things they said, the passion they gave me, the belief they gave me that I can be somebody in life. That was like just enough for that piece. Not because I've not learned from people that time, But because that was a good starting point, I know you've done more than that tonight for us all. And I want to thank God that you came tonight. And I know with such implied consent that we'll be posting this on the social media. Somebody already asked for it. So what we do is we post on our YouTube platform, then people can rewatch and reshare. And I hope you will not mind that we do that.
No, I don't.
All right, thank you. So let me appreciate you so much for this. You know, a couple of days, I think it was yesterday, I showed something to my wife. I was watching one of my mentors. His name is was okay, John Maxwell. Okay, so John Maxwell, what I was concerned for is how old he's looking. I was showing my wife, this man is looking so old. I remember how much stuff he has blessed him with. But he's looking old, so I know time is counting. But what he said is what is even I want to share tonight. He said, you can become successful from failure, but you cannot become successful from excuses. He said, when you fail, just be sure that you have failed forward. Learn a lesson from it. That's what he was trying to say. Just learn a lesson. You are likely to be successful than make an excuse. I think what you have shown to us tonight is that even if we fail, you have given us that confidence that something good can come from it if you stay consistent, if you apply both faith and wisdom, and then we put them to work as the engine, which is the action. I think you have just done more than what.
Sorry, please, Mentor, I can't hear you again.
And I really want to appreciate you. Thank God for your life. Thank God for your different businesses and your platform, the Hive, and the impact you are making. You see, it gives me particularly great joy to see young people doing well. You know, some people, when we are talking about wealth like this, some people will expect you call one Baba to come and tell you about wealth. But I think, like they will come and be telling you so many stories of what they did. It's not about intimidation. It's about seeing like-minded, seeing someone as young as you are that have been doing great things. And they're not just doing it by mistake. They were intentional. They started it. They knew what they were doing. Not what we see these days that people will just be wasting their time and life away. I just want to thank you